Hello and welcome to Literally Heinous. We have a solo episode today. I'm loving my new schedule. I've been putting out the content a little bit more, which has been so much fun. So thank you to everyone who's been listening. Numbers have been great. If you haven't already, please rate me 5 stars. Review numbers are some of the only way that like the external way to see like podcast numbers, because it's not like Instagram where you can see how many followers people have. So please rate me 5 stars if you haven't on Spotify and Apple Podcast. For whatever reason, my rating on Apple Podcasts is like, it's not low, but it's not like as like it's a 4.3, and I've got a couple 1 stars. So I don't know what's going on there. So if you wouldn't mind rating me on Apple Podcasts, that would be great. And then following me on Spotify too. But no worries if not, also, like literally no big deal. I won't be mad at all. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about the drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, because it's occurred to me that a lot of people are curious about what happens in the movie, but don't really want to go see it. So I will tell you exactly what happens. So I was really excited for this movie. I love Zendaya. I love Robert Pattinson, and it's such an interesting concept. I loved the rollout of it, like how they made it look like a wedding invitation. Like the save the date was like the movie poster, which was so cute. I've also been loving that. I feel like in the last few years, we've been seeing a lot more of Robert Pattinson's personality. Like during the Twilight years and the years after that, obviously he was like really pigeonholed into this like fandom that I don't know, like Twilight movies are not good, and it was a cultural phenomenon, and like he is a really amazing actor, so obviously he didn't want to be like stuck with that. So I always thought he was kind of like mean and grouchy and like a tortured artist. And then in the last few years, like he's been really coming out of his shell, and he's so funny. Like if you haven't watched some of his interviews with Jennifer Lawrence or watched an interview where like one of them talks about the other, they're so funny. And he is kind of a goofball. Like he's a weirdo, and Zendaya is a huge dork, as we all know. If you have not looked at like Zendaya's old Instagram posts, I mean, they're all deleted, but like you can find them online, like from her posts from like up until, I don't know, I guess like 2019, like she's a weirdo too. And it's fun to remember that actors are weird. Like you have to be kind of like a bizarre, like funny, odd, quirky person to go into acting. So I was really excited for that. So the movie basically opens up with Robert Pattinson at a coffee shop, and he sees Zendaya and he's like, oh my God, she's so beautiful, but he doesn't know how to approach her. So then he like sneaks a peek at the book that she's reading. And then he goes back to his computer and Googles the book, and then comes over to her and is like, oh, you're reading that. I love that book. And she can't hear him. And then so he's like fumbling around, and like you think that she's ignoring him. And then it turns out that she's deaf in one ear. And then they get to talking about the book, and then he's like, oh, I love that book so much. And then they hit it off, and it's like a meet cute, but it's obviously like manufactured by him. And then you see their first date, and then like it's kind of like a nice montage of like them getting to know each other over the last 2 years. He works at a museum in Boston. I think he's like a art curator, and then she's some sort of writer publisher in Boston. And the apartment that they live in this movie was stunning. Like that's the fifth character. The apartment was beautiful. Like just the set design of the whole movie was really, really good. So we go through that, and then it's like the week leading up to the wedding, and like Robert Pattinson is with like his best friend in the movie. And he's writing his vows, and she's writing her vows. And then it's the week leading up to the wedding. And then so Robert and Zendaya are at, I guess, like the tasting menu for the caterer of their wedding, which I don't know why that's the week leading up to the wedding. And you're not allowed to like bring friends to like your tasting, whatever. As an engaged woman, I was like, you know, I'm not even going to question any of this. So they're with their friends, their couple friends, basically. Alana Hayim is one of them. And then this other guy, the actor's name, I don't know, sorry, but he was great. And then Alana's like, when we were getting married, like we played like what's the worst thing you've ever done the week before a wedding. So then they both share theirs. Hers was that when she was 15, she was like playing with like one of the slow kids in her neighborhood, and they went to an RV, and she locked him in the closet and then like didn't let him out, and then ran away. And then they like found him the next morning. And I was like, that's fucked up. But I'm like, she was like, well, they found him and it was fine. No harm done. I'm like, okay, so you locked like basically a special needs kid in a closet for 24 hours. And she's like, oh, I panicked. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. Whatever. So his was that he was like on a trip with a girlfriend who he hated. Like he and this girlfriend just like hated each other, never got along, and she was like mean to a dog or something, and then the dog started to like provoke her, and then he hid behind her and like used her as a human shield, but like no one actually got hurt. So it's kind of weird. Then Robert goes, and his is that he like cyberbullied a kid when he was in high school. Pretty innocuous. And then Zendaya goes, and she was saying that like, oh, I guess that when I was in like 14, I had just moved to a new school and I was bullied and I was picked on, and I planned a school shooting, but I didn't go through with it. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And she was like, yeah, but like I didn't go through with it. And then she tells a story of like how she was bullied and everything. And then like she basically says that she like brought a gun to school and everything. Like she was practicing shooting like in her backyard. I guess like her dad owned guns, and that is why she's deaf in one ear. And I kind of knew what the twist was, or like what the thing was before going into the movie, which I was mad about. But when I saw she was deaf in one ear, I was like, okay. And then she like brings a gun to school and everything. And then the reason that she doesn't go through with it is because there was another mass shooting like at a mall that same day, and she didn't want to like do a mass shoot like two in one day. So she didn't end up doing it. And then she was like, well, I ended up like getting really involved with like the like kids for gun control, and like she became kind of like a high school activist, and everyone was like super weird about it. And then basically the rest of the movie is Robert Pattinson like spiraling with this information, and he ends up kind of becoming the villain of this movie because he is like really scared of her for the rest of the movie. And it's really funny. Like I LOL'd a lot of times in this movie. Like Zendaya like was in the kitchen like cutting something, and she like turned around like what'd you say? And so there was a lot of funny little, not jump scares, but moments where like you can see how Robert is like taking these innocuous moments, and like now that he knows that she like could have been a murderer. And so he's like asking everyone in his life, like, what's the worst thing you've done? What's the worst thing you've done? And he asks it to a coworker, and she's like, oh, I guess like, you know, I cheated in a relationship. Like, and it did sound like a pretty bad one. The coworker was like, oh, like he was married and I was dating someone, and, you know, broke up a marriage. But you could see like in Robert's face, and then like as the audience too, you're feeling like, I wish that he's like, I wish that she cheated. Like, I wish that it was something like that. And it was interesting to me because I feel like as a society, we paint like cheating and like extramarital affairs as like the worst possible thing that you can do, when like in reality, there's so much worse. And you can see like Robert in his face just being like, I wish it were that simple. And then at one point they see their band or their DJ, who's an actress named Sydney Lemon, who I actually saw in a play one time, and I was really excited to see her again. They see their DJ out on the sidewalk, like basically in the middle of the street, smoking heroin. They're like, oh my God, that's our DJ. Like Robbins and Daly, like, that's our DJ. That's our DJ. That's so weird. And then they're like, should we say something? And they're like, no, like we can't like interrupt someone who's like smoking heroin. She could be like violent or something. I don't know. And then when they're doing like a venue tour, I guess like the day before their wedding, they're like back at their venue for some reason, like they see their DJ like setting up or like dropping her stuff off. And Rob is like, you know, let's not confront her. Let's not say anything. Like, I'm sure that, you know, just because she smokes heroin, like she's still a professional, or like she's a musician, she's a creative. I don't know. And Zendaya's like, no, that's fucking crazy. Like, that's weird. So you can see like where, like, as the audience, you're kind of like ranking morals, and it's like, how do you excuse one thing but not the other? And then Zendaya goes like and is super aggressive to her and basically like fires her. And then what ends up happening, so then Robert Pattinson, back to the coworker, like after he asked her, like, you know, she said she cheated, whatever, Robert ends up like making out with her, and they like almost have sex and everything. But this is like part of him spiraling. So he basically the whole movie like is just like reeling with this information about Zendaya and like can't figure out what to do with it. And then he is the one that ends up like ruining the entire wedding. So then the wedding happens. Wedding makes no sense, by the way. Like, it's in the daytime, and then like the reception is in the daytime too, and they like, I don't know, it was all weird to me, but it didn't really make sense as a wedding, but whatever. So then Zendaya's paranoid that everyone's talking about it, because she, like, Alana Hayim, who's basically the friend from hell, like worst friend ever, she's paranoid that she can hear like Alana Hayim like telling everyone like, yeah, but like, you know, it was in middle school and she almost whatever. And then Zendaya sees Robert Pattinson's coworker, the one that he made out with, and like pulls her aside and is like, "Do you know?" And then she's like, "No, what?" And Zendaya's basically kind of like beating around the bush. And the coworker's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, is this about how like I made out with Robert Pattinson last week?" And then obviously Zendaya freaks out. So then there's a whole thing. And then that girl, the coworker's boyfriend, like catches wind of it and is like, "What? Like you hooked up with like the groom?" And then it's like time to start the vows and or the speeches. And I'm like, I don't know why like the bride and groom are giving the speech at dinner. Usually you say your vows like at the altar, but that's besides me. So then Robert stands up and he like starts to give his, but then he's just like fumbling like so hard because he's just like, I don't know, freaking out, and then basically admits to the fact that like he and the coworker made out. And then the boyfriend of the coworker comes over and he like beats him up, and then like a whole fight breaks out, and then Zendaya runs away. And then Robert goes to like a diner. This was like mentioned earlier in the movie, like this diner that they loved, and like orders something, and like he's all beat up and bloody, and then Zendaya comes in her dress, and then they basically work it out. That's like how it kind of ends up in the movie. And also, I'm sorry, I saw this like a full week ago, so I don't remember everything perfectly. So if you have seen it and I messed something up, I'm sorry, but that was the gist of it. So yeah, it was a good theater viewing experience. It was really funny, like seeing Robert grapple with all of it and watching him like edit his vows after learning that. Like one of the things was like, she loves people, and then he like deletes that. But it was really funny. I wouldn't watch it again, really. I don't really care to see it again. But it was just an interesting, like, I also think that it's interesting that we basically have no media about mass shootings and school shootings when it's like one of the biggest issues in America today. Like, of course, gun violence you see in movies all the time, but you don't see anything about like a mass shooting and a school shooting, because why would you want to? It's horrifying. It's terrible. Like, is that not everyone's biggest fear? But it was almost kind of like, yes, like we should be talking about this more. And it shouldn't just, I feel like the more that we don't address it in like movies and TV shows and like media and these like fictionalized things and like drama, the more that we give it more power, because it only exists like in real life and in the news, and it's like sensationalized and it's so scary, and it's like everyone's biggest fear, and like dropping your kids off at school every day. Like I can't imagine even being a parent right now, like, and you just send your kid to school every day and just like hope that security's in place, and like going to the mall, like going anywhere, it is a fear that everyone lives with, and it just lives in the news. And it was interesting to like watch a movie about it. And I know there's been I know there was Mass, which was a movie about like the aftermath and like the parents grappling with school shooting. I have not seen that. And then The Fallout, I think Jenna Ortega was in that. So there like is movies about it, but it's like we don't want to see it. It's almost like how we don't want to watch movies about Trump. Like The Apprentice came out last year with Jeremy Strong and Sebastian Stan. That was a really great movie, but no one really wants to see a movie about Trump, obviously, because like this is a nightmare that we live in every day. Like no one wants to see a movie about school shootings, obviously, because it's fucking terrifying. And it's not like fun horror. It's not like a slasher or like a demon or, whatever. It's terrifying. So I did think it was interesting, and I thought it was really bold. And the actress that played young Zendaya, because they kind of flipped back and forth, so we got to see like young Zendaya like getting the guns, making the hit list. Like it was funny and it wasn't serious, and it made her look like kind of stupid. Like she'd be recording the videos and be like all serious, like, today my classmates are gonna die, and then be like network connectivity issues, and she'd be like, ugh. So it made her look kind of stupid, and I'm like, maybe that is like the thing. Like maybe these school shooters, we need to stop romanticizing them. The only media that we see about school shootings existing in the media like makes these killers out to be like bad and like just cruel and like want to do all these copycats. But maybe like if we had like more media that talks about like, that's actually really fucking lame. Like, oh, that's fucking weird. Like, she looked like a loser. I don't know. School shootings and mass shootings, it's every American's biggest fear. And don't even bother with like, there's no way to prevent this. The only country where this continually keeps happening. So it's like, we need to, something's not working. And it's like we're having like the media almost like romanticizes these killers, and it's like at what's gonna take it. So that was my POV. I liked it. I wouldn't really watch it again, but if you know, I thought it was interesting, and I think Robert Pattinson stole the show. Okay, so next I want to talk more about party planning because I got a few questions in the episode that I did with my mom about planning parties, and I just feel very strongly about them. Okay, so there's a few different types of birthday parties, and I'm going to go through them. So the dinner birthday party, I personally hate group dinners over six, maybe 8 people. I think I draw the line at 8 people. If you are doing a reservation with over 8 people, you need to give it up. It's really taxing, and it's also hard because it is not a conducive environment to socializing, because these dinners take a really long time. It can take 2.5 hours. You could be sitting down for 3 hours. And generally, you're only sitting next to the people that you know the best. Like you go to this dinner party and you kind of end up sitting with like the same people. And it's just a lot of work to be sitting there talking to the same exact people. And then also, like, how are you dividing the check? Is it going to go on one person's card? Are you going to split a bunch of ways? Because I've also been in situations where I have been cautious about getting a cheaper thing on the menu and maybe not getting a drink if I'm looking to save money, or only getting one drink just for the group chat to come around and be like, okay, we're going to split evenly, like, because it's easiest. And then I watch the person next to me get 3 or 4 drinks. So that's just something to be cautious of. Also, prefix dinners. I think this is a good solution sometimes because you know exactly what you're getting and how much you're paying up front. That's okay. I also just do think that it's a lot to ask for people to pay for your birthday party. Like sometimes I will get invited to something and it's a prefix dinner. It's like $60-$70. I'm like, well, I don't really want to spend that on your birthday. So I think if it's something that you really want to do, you can do it. And I do think prefix is the route, or the birthday person or like the birthday person's best friend or significant other can pick up the check and then itemize everyone's check. And the thing is with like, sorry to the AI haters, but this is a really good use for AI, is itemizing a bill and uploading it to chat or to Claude. And then you can say like, okay, these people shared this thing, this person, like person one. It also does get complicated because everyone has to remember what they got. And I've been in dinner situations where it's like, if everyone could remember exactly what they got in text right now so you don't forget, that works too. So you could just quickly be like, okay, I got this entree, I shared this, and then I got these 2 drinks, and then the person can deal with it the next day. The prefix thing can be really easy. I think you just need to be straight up with your friends and just say, this is what I want to do. I really want to eat here. I understand if you don't want to. And then I think this is when you also have a backup option, or you have like the second location. So if you want to do dinner at this one place and you want a fancy dinner, you give people the option that they don't have to come, but give them a second option, because the majority of people, like, their heart's in the right place. Like, they do want to celebrate you. They do want to go to your birthday. But if the only option for that is spending $60, the person is kind of put in a rock and a hard place. Like, you know, I don't really want to spend that money, but I do want to see you. So, okay, fine, I'll just spend the money and then kind of resent you. Or I guess I'm just not going to see you. So find like a bar afterwards. Just say like, okay, we're going to do dinner here. It's $60, $75, whatever. No pressure. If you want to just meet up with us after, we're going to this bar. So that way you can let people come in at their own leisure, buy whatever drinks that they want. So that would be my pick. Okay, next is the meeting up at a bar party. So this is kind of like my favorite birthday party to go to because it's really casual, but you, the host, have to understand you cannot be mad at people for showing up late, because late doesn't exist at a bar party. So if you are starting at a bar and you're telling people like, hey, I'm going to be at this bar, like come stop by for a drink, I'll be there at 9. You cannot get mad at people if they show up at 11. I think it's on you to communicate with people. Like, I will be there until like 11 p.m. But if you are even like reserving like a room at a bar or a section, you really need to be upfront if you want people to be there at a certain time. So I had a friend who had a birthday party and she reserved like this really cool room in this bar, and it was a really big room. And this is also something that you have to be cautious of, because when you have a bar meetup party, people aren't going to come too. Like, people are going to flake, people are going to bail. The more like loose you are with the invitation, the more loose people are with accepting it. So that's another perk of the dinner thing, because if you have the dinner, like you're texting people, you're locked in, you're like getting the money ahead of time, like you have a reservation and that person knows. But with a bar party, you really can't be mad at people even if they don't show up too. I guess depending on the person you can be mad, like if it's your best friend, but that is also like with the bar meetup, you have to invite the whole world. So my friend that did this party in this back room, the room was really big and it took a while to fill up because she said like, starts at 9, come meet up at this bar. People really didn't start trickling in until about like 10:15, which is understandable. And I was like kind of trying to tell her, I was like, this happens with a bar meetup party, is that people just kind of like show up when it's convenient. And then the room was really big, so it just like felt really small. Like even though there was 4 of us at the bar and we were having a really good time, like it still felt like there was a lot of like empty space. So you have to set your expectations if you want to do that. And then lastly is a house party, which is my favorite to host. I love a house party. Going to house parties, I like going to them too, but I am definitely really picky about them. And I have very strong attention to detail. So I don't expect everyone's house parties to be like perfectly curated, but I do appreciate like a nice array of snacks, like communal drinks. I do think if you're hosting at your house, you need to have some sort of like communal drinks, either just like liquor out on a table or maybe like a bucket of beers. I've also been seeing people like put ice in the sink and turning that into a cooler, and I think that's really chic. I love that. And with that one too, you also can't be mad if people show up late. Like you put the start time, I would honestly put it at 30 minutes before you want people to show up, because it'll feel a little like, it'll always feel kind of slim at first and then people will start trickling in. Okay, and then lastly, I don't have any experience in this, but it's birthday trip. I'm starting to think that birthday trips are kind of chic, because there are times in your life when it's like, I would love to go on a trip, but like don't really want to plan it or wrangle people. And sometimes I'm like, I would love to be invited on someone's birthday trip. I think it can be really chic as long as you, the host, are very like accommodating and also like not pressuring people. Like just because it's your 30th birthday doesn't mean that everyone has to come. But sometimes it's nice, when it's the dead of winter to be like, oh, I've got a trip coming up that I don't have to plan. It's just someone else's. And I think that the discourse around like bachelorette and destination weddings and birthday trips has really made people shy to host something that could be seen as kind of like a big undertaking, like going on a birthday trip. But I don't think that people should be shy. I think that if you, the host, want to go on a birthday trip and somewhere easy, maybe like a Puerto Rico, and if you have maybe like 3 friends that are like fully locked and loaded, and you toss the invite out to other people, like I think that's great, because like worst case scenario, if it's just you and the 3 people, or even if it's just you and one other friend, like that's great, that's perfect. But it's also nice to like throw it out to other people and say like, I want to go here for my birthday, no pressure. I would love to be invited on someone's birthday trip, because it would like depend on like if I'm able to go, but if I'm in a season of life where I'm like, honestly, a trip to Puerto Rico sounds incredible. And because it's just hard to plan those trips like for no reason when it's just, you're just living life. Like you can go to Puerto Rico for no reason, and like you should be able to go, but it is not a priority. But if you get invited to something, it's like, yes, you should go. And I've been telling this like on the destination wedding side, I've been seeing a lot of like reversal of anti-destination weddings. There's a lot of discourse about like, why am I spending $2,000 to go to your wedding in Italy and you're cutting costs? Because people do it because it's cheaper, obviously. And then of course, like who doesn't want to get married in Italy or a beautiful place? And I do understand the sentiment of like, bride and groom chooses to get married in Italy or Spain to save money because it's cheaper to get married internationally. But then you're kind of offsetting the cost on your guests who are going to be traveling internationally. But I just don't really think it's that deep. I think that it's an invitation, not a summons. And pretty much every wedding that I go to is a destination wedding, even when it's not, because I'm traveling to all these weddings. Like, okay, I'm going to Cleveland for a wedding, going to Atlanta, like going to Texas for a wedding. And yes, that's not a destination wedding because it's in the continental US, but it's like that shit adds up. Like end up spending maybe under $1,000 to like go to Cleveland and get 2 nights at a hotel. And it's like I have fun. But the nature of our generation is that we live all over the country. Like I have friends all over the US and they get married all over the US. And like, you have a friend that's getting married in Rochester, New York. And it's like, okay, that's not a destination, but like flight hotel, it does become a destination wedding. Like I was telling my parents this, the days of everyone just living in the same city that everyone went to high school and everyone went to college in and everyone gets married and lives, like those days are over. Like people are moving and grooving. So I was telling my friend who wants to do a destination wedding, I was like, I am pro destination weddings because I would rather go to Italy than go to Cleveland. No offense to my friend that's getting married in Cleveland. I actually do love Cleveland. And it's like, if you can't go, you can't go. And that's fine too. But, as the bride and groom, you have to understand that a lot of people like might not be able to go. And that's fine too, because who doesn't want to cut down on their wedding guest list? I also think as a bride and groom getting married in a destination, like a true destination, like international, they really need to like do all the front work and the front loading of like communicating as much as possible and making it as easy as possible to like know how to get from the airport to the venue. And I've never been to a destination wedding, but I have heard that like some couples aren't as forthcoming about communicating like how to get there. Okay, and next I want to talk about Partiful. So Partiful, if you're not aware, it is an app for sending party invitations. I think it's pretty big. It's big with the youth. It's big like Gen Z thing. I was first made aware of Partiful, I think in 2023. I'm not going to say it's like a big city thing, but I think it's definitely like very common in New York. Like everyone uses Partiful. And it's like a modern Evite. So it's an app and you can create little invitations and it goes to people's phones and it kind of aggregates like all the things that you're invited to, and you can sync it to your Google Calendar, which is really nice. You can make like a photo album if like after a party you want to dump all the pictures that were taken in there. You can do text blasts. So it's a nice like easy way to invite a bunch of people to your party or whatever you want to host and like text them all at once, because I think before that it was more like these big group texts, and you'd be put in a group chat with like 20 people, you have like 5 people's phone numbers, then you've got all this like random shit going on, that or just like texting people individually. And then before that was Facebook events. So take me back to Facebook events. Recently there has been some scuttle of people anti-Partiful because it is genuinely problematic. Okay, so here is the tea. So Partiful was founded by 2 people from this company called Palantir. So Palantir is a data surveillance company founded by Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel, I think most people know who he is, but in case you don't, he's like one of the billionaires. Like he's like an Elon Musk type. Like he's up there with like Bill Gates. He's kind of like a lower profile. So like I honestly didn't really know who he was until a few years ago, but he's like a bad guy. Like he's not good. And so basically like these 2 people worked for Palantir and then they started Partiful. So Palantir, which was founded by Peter Thiel, basically helps like governments and militaries consolidate data. Like it's a surveillance company. So they have this product for law enforcement called Gotham, which is like, okay, wow, congratulations on naming it that. And it's basically like it can map out someone's entire network in minutes. So like immigration status, license plates, eye color from a driver's license, and it can like pull people's data and aggregate it into one intelligence report. So they've worked with ICE, they work with like the US and Israeli militaries. So this company is like sketchy. Like it was built for like safety and like counterterrorism, I guess, but they also use it for bad stuff like immigration status and like tracking people. So basically these people that worked at Palantir started this like party company. And I'm like, isn't that kind of interesting that like, they're not starting this app for parties for the love of the game. Like these 2 founders, Shreya and Joy, they're not like, I don't imagine that they're just 2 like fun loving gals. I don't think that they're doing it just like because they love parties and want to make it easier. And the thing is, the app is free. And if you don't know, if something is free, then you're the product. Instagram is free, your data is the product. So you always should be wary about like data privacy. Like, what's free? Because, why is it free? How are they making money? Like, Partiful doesn't really run ads. So, like, where is that data going? And you can read, like, Partiful's privacy policy and you can, like, ask for your own data. I don't do that because I'm honestly like, whatever, I don't even care. So, there's also been some sketchy stuff with the app. Like, some people have reported that Partiful is running, like, 13 hours in the background of their phone, like, even if they haven't opened the app. So, it's like, why is this app still running? And then their like cookie policy, like it can track your phone. And then there was another sketchy thing where like the GPS like data of your pictures. So you know how when you take pictures on your phone, it will show you like the location you took at the time, whatever. All of that like data in a picture, if you upload it to Partiful, like now Partiful can access those pictures. So basically like there's ties to like some really sketchy shit. And a lot of people are anti-Partiful, which like I totally get, because it's also like, do we really need another social media app to just like hang out with our friends? Is it not enough to just like text your friend or call them? So that is a tea on that. With things like surveillance stuff, I just like, I know that it's bad, but I also just feel like, what else am I going to do? Like, okay, if I delete Partiful and delete my data and extract everything from it, like clearly there's somewhere that's gonna like get my data. I don't know. I just feel like there's no way to win. I'm also like, oh, I have nothing to hide, which I really don't have anything to hide, obviously. But at the same time, like, what if something happens and you do have something to hide? Or also, like, they could sell it to like insurance companies and like make your insurance go up, like if they have information about you, or maybe they're working with your healthcare company. I don't know. Literally Heinous is not like a information podcast, so this is just kind of me and like what I've learned. So do your own research. I'm still going to keep using Partiful, sorry, but I will feel bad about it. So some people are anti-Partiful because just the nature of it, it's like, why do we have to make socializing like just another like social media app? Because Partiful is also a little bit of a social media app. Like you have a profile on it, you can link it to your Instagram. It shows how many parties you've been to. Like my friend has been to like 250 and I'm really trying to get my numbers up. It doesn't actually matter, but it does have those elements of kind of like a social media app. In Partiful, you can't see the location of the party or who's going until you RSVP. And so I don't know if that was trying to be good natured from Partiful so that like people have to like honestly want to go to the party instead of like only going to because of like who's going. But it is very valid to decide if you're going to a party based on who is going and where the party is. Like especially in New York, some things I'm like, yeah, that sounds interesting. But then I RSVP and see that the party's in like Flatbush. I'm like, I'm not going out to Flatbush. I'm sorry. So I don't really like that. I mean, you can check maybe and then it'll give you access. And I do that all the time. And sometimes I'll like check maybe to a party, see who's going, see where it is, and then change it to going. And that's fine. Okay. I think that's fine. I do think if you do maybe and then it's like not a guest list you like and not a location, you got to wait a couple days to say no because you got to keep it classy. So a lot of people are like anti-Partiful. And I don't think that like Partiful is a freak necessarily. I use it, but I do think that not using it is chic. I was invited to my friend's birthday, Jamie's birthday, and it was a bar meetup. And she just texted me individually. And so I assume that she did that with everyone else, unless there was a big group chat that I wasn't in. And I definitely was like, okay, not using Partiful. That's pretty chic. And maybe it's because I don't know how many people she invited that. Maybe it was only like 10 or 15, or maybe it was 30 and she sent out like 30 individual invitations. But okay, that was very chic to not use it. I, however, do use Partiful because it's a really good way to like get all the information down and you can, do like apartment code. You can say the dress code. You can say like what to expect is on there and you can really build out like this nice invitation. And I love when I'm going to a house party and there's just like a lot of like, I want to know everything. Like I want to know what the vibes are. I want to know what I should be wearing. A lot of times in New York, people are like, leave your shoes at the door. So we need to talk about leaving shoes at the door in New York. So in New York City, it is very custom to not enter your house or somebody else's house with your shoes on. And it's honestly really cute. Like I love like if I have like one friend over and everyone just like immediately takes off their shoes whenever you enter someone's apartment in New York. And it's because the city's dirty and like we're walking around, we're walking on like the subway, we're walking on the sidewalk. There's some crazy shit out there. And it's very nice. It's very classy. But when Jack and I host parties, we are a shoes optional household. Okay. So if we're hosting a big party and it's, 20, 30, 40 people over, I will put in the Partiful shoes optional. Like you can leave them on. And people will ask me like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes," because what happens is if you're having a party and you require everyone to take their shoes off, it becomes like a mountain of shoes and then they just start like sliding everywhere. Like I've been at parties where it's like 20 something people and the hosts were like shoes off party. And then it's like you can't, like the shoes just kind of become this weird like polluted area and then you're like tripping over other people's shoes and it's just like really annoying. And I also don't want to leave my shoes outside of someone's door, like out like in their hallway. I've seen that too. Because I've seen the Carrie Bradshaw like Sex and the City episode where she gets her Manolos stolen because someone made her take her shoes off. And obviously I don't have like that fancy of shoes, but it does occur to me. I'm like, well, what if my shoes get stolen? And I think that if you're hosting a party, you need to be good at cleaning up. After Jack and I host a party, like I'm aware that like shoes were all over the apartment. So we mop the next day and we vacuum. And at the end of the day, it's just not that deep. Like no one has ever contracted like a deadly venereal disease from like having your shoes on in the apartment. Like if you just clean up afterwards, you mop, you sweep, you vacuum, it's going to be okay. And also I don't walk barefoot in my own apartment anyways. I always wear my slippers. So that's just something like in Partyful people will say, shoes optional, shoes on, shoes off. So that is all that I wanted to talk about today. So keep listening. I'll have a new episode out next week. I'm actually going to Italy at the end of the month. So thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about and please rate me 5 stars. Thanks. Bye.